So, of course, I was watching Newsnight and just another major Democrat disappointment. Bakari Sellers, a child of a civil rights pioneer, Morehouse man, says his heart hurts to see those images that are happening in the Middle East. But what does he do? He supports the people that are actually doing the harm in the Middle East. So let's get into this video.
Discussion if you want to be part of this discussion. But the question at hand is, given where things are now, this stalemate, would things be better if Israel took over Gaza, complete occupation?
No, I actually think I think this issue is more nuanced than people give it credit for.
Whenever someone says that the issue in the Middle East is nuanced, starving babies, women and children being unalived, innocent women and children being unalived, any man that can walk on their own is essentially marked as Hamas. When you say what's happening in the Middle East is nuanced, for lack of a better word, you suck.
And a lot of times we debate this issue on X or on Twitter. And you just saw these two individuals who are dug in, who believe with all their heart and all their might their particular points. And people try to debate this on Fox News, or they try to debate it on X, and they miss it in totality. For example, Democrats, what I would go with is Democrats have to be able to say that, it's very difficult for Israel, and I'm a very pro-Israel Democrat.
Why are you pro-Israel? With everything that we know, why are you pro-Israel? Why are you siding with an oppressor? And I want to be very clear before someone goes in my comments and say you're being anti-Semitic. I am speaking of the Israeli government. I am not speaking of Jewish people. Jewish people who in America, majority are against what is happening.
For Democrats to be able to simply say that Bibi Netanyahu, yes, he's an impediment to peace, but you also cannot negotiate with Hamas, who doesn't believe you have a right to exist. Occupation is something that we can't stand for. Starving Gazans are something that we cannot.
But you have been standing for it. You've been standing for it since October 7th. You have been okay with it. And again, like I stated before, you are the son of a civil rights activist. Not only that, you're black. When you are okay with what's happening, especially with American history, how could you be like, why wouldn't you think this wouldn't happen to us? Like, it's just, I was such a fan of Bakari, no longer.
Stand for. However, we have to be able to say that we need to bring every hostage home. It shouldn't be that difficult.
It's not that hard. It's
for us to have this debate.
We're losing our humanity. There's a lot that Brooke said there. I don't have time to challenge it. I'm also not a Middle East relations guy. This is not going to be Ben Affleck and Sam Steen on Real Time with Bill Maher arguing about.
I'm sorry. If you are not going to argue in defense of the Palestinians, if you are not going to be impassioned to stop what's happening in the Middle East, then get off the panel. Let me show you someone that always gives the proper energy when it comes to this discussion.
And they shoot at people as they're waiting in line for humanitarian aid. Dozens of people get shot and killed literally every single day, as they're waiting for food. No, I'm not going to let you filibuster, bitch. I'm not going to let you filibuster. I'm not going to let you filibuster. You guys are totally okay with IDF soldiers shooting and killing desperate people waiting for humanitarian aid. You're okay with that. I find it so unbelievably evil. Unbelievably evil. It shocks my conscience and my soul that people as evil as this exist in this world. Okay? Watching these images, looking at these videos, seeing all these kids desperate, hungry, parentless, trapped in Gaza. And you're sitting here and you're defending it. I can't stand it. I can't listen to it. The filibustering is unbearable.
That's the energy that is required when you are speaking about what's happening in Gaza. All of this politeness, making jokes on a panel while children's spines are literally visibly shown. What are we? Like, will we ever learn our lessons as a society? Think about it. The Jews, had America stepped in when they needed to in World War II, had they stepped in and done the proper thing with allowing Jews to come into America, we may not have lost so much of the Jewish population around the world. And here we are again. And I don't even need to jump to this. We can go back to the Iraqi war. We had a primary on both sides where it was a litmus test for you to say the Iraq and Afghanistan war under George Bush was wrong. We shouldn't have done it. But look what we're doing now. We haven't learned a thing. And for the Democrats, I've never seen, like, I will say this, when it comes to Republicans, they listen to their base. Donald Trump listens to his base. Well, except for Epstein. But majority, he listens to his base. Democrats are literally thumbing their nose at their base when the majority of their base does not support this.
About that years ago. Look, at the end of the day, I've been working with Project Unite Humanity, projectuh.org. They're helping with the relief efforts. My friend, Dr. Robert Lowry, who went to the great school of Rutgers University here. This is something that's very personal to me. As I was telling you off air, that my niece is Palestinian that lives out in Colorado. But that doesn't absolve the fact that October 7th was horrific. That doesn't absolve the fact of what happened in those kibbutzes. That doesn't absolve the fact of that video that came out today of that person that.
What gags me about this is that if you have any empathy for the Palestinians, you have to immediately highlight what happened on October 7th was a bad thing. I don't know anyone that has been a proponent for the Palestinians since October 7th that has said, yep, that's what they get. That October 7th, great. That was supposed to happen. Like, I haven't seen anyone say that. So the fact that everyone feels the need to continue to say this, and again, what happened on October 7th was horrible. But that does not justify starving innocent children and women.
He was about 68 pounds or so. Correct. Walking through those tunnels, as well as the Palestinian children that look exactly like that human being. You should have the same level of ire for who's causing both. I know that Hamas is a terrorist organization, and how they came into power in 2007 and took over in that region, even though they were duly elected at first. I know all of that. The West has already admitted that Hamas is a terrorist organization. If we're admitting that we can't negotiate with terrorists, we can't expect the terrorists to be on the up and up. It's Israel that has to do this. And there's only one common denominator in these last 38 years.
I think that's a great point, because at what point we keep saying that, the West, we are the ones with all the great values and we care about democracy. Have you seen what Israel has been doing to the Palestinians?
In that entire region. His name is Benjamin Netanyahu. He's the one common denominator in all of this. He's from the PLA to every.
The only thing I would disagree with you on is the fact that is the only common denominator, because yes, you can't diminish the fact that Hamas does not believe Israel has a right to exist. And if we're going to sit here and have this conversation, we have to acknowledge that Israel does have a right to exist.
But it already exists, and it's not going anywhere.
But they already exist.
And my only point is, I hear you.
Thank you for saying that.
They exist. We know
and
that.
I hear you.
You know
and all I'm saying is that, like, I feel, for me, someone who simply says that Israel has the right to exist, and I believe Israel being an American value, but to watch those.
Did this man say Israel is an American value? I would love to. Is he Jewish? Like, what's happening here?
Pictures of Palestinian children starving. Yeah. It bothers me, right?
Oh, it bothers him. It bothers him to see it. Oh, no, poor thing. But I'm still going to support the people that are causing the starvation.
To my core. And I can't empathize with these two.
Hang on.
Can I just put a bow on this real quick? And all I'm saying is that there is a space for all of us to simply say that we want this to come to a peaceful resolution, where there should not be
a peaceful resolution. That's done. There is no peace. There can be a resolution, but it's not a peace. It will never be peaceful with so much blood.
decision between inhumanity and cruelty.
Correct.
And I should be able to say that Benjamin Netanyahu is an impediment to peace. And I should also be able to say that Hamas can go to hell. I should be able to say both of those.
Yeah, but
So hang on, bro. I'm going to talk. So I will say this. President Trump has said that he sees starvation in Gaza and it bothers him. He says that the First Lady Melania Trump sees starvation in Gaza and it bothers him. And the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, said,
all of which people that have power and could literally stop this from happening if they wanted to. I don't care that it bothers you. I don't care that it troubles you from sleeping at night. You have power. Do something about it. Just like I felt with Biden.
he sees starvation in Gaza and it bothers him. If that's the baseline here, then what do you do? And I go back to the question, the original question about you, and you jump in on any subject you want here, but occupation, reoccupation, full reoccupation of Gaza, what would that change? Would that free the hostages, for instance?
So I was expecting to come in here like guns blazing, but I've been totally disarmed by Bakari, like legitimate to my core. Like I'm so moved by everything that you said, like at a very, very...
What a joke. What did he say that was so phenomenal other than both siding what's happening in Gaza?
deep level. So thank you for that. I will say, I think in the conversation, I agree with Peter. I don't think this is going to happen. And in a way, I'm very bothered that we're talking about something that's obviously not going to happen instead of the footage that came out of Eviatar David starving and digging his own grave. And it seems to me that that was a ploy on Hamas's behalf to show that they controlled the media narrative, that they could get the media to talk about the horrific hunger conditions in Gaza and then get the media not to talk about this starving young man, this innocent life who's literally...
Wait, so Hamas controls the media so well that they put the photo out of the starving hostage because they knew the media wouldn't cover it. So then why did they put it... Okay, Batia.
being starved day by day because they control the mainstream liberal media. And what they've done is...
What is she talking about? You can't say, like, these people are delusional. This is a 6-person panel, I think. No, a 5-person panel. And I would venture to say 4 out of 5 of them are pro-Israel. 4 out of 5 of them were perfectly fine with what was happening in the Middle East before these photos came out and the updated numbers. I just don't understand the world that they live in, that they think that liberal media in the West is riding for Hamas.
They've made it such, they've cut themselves out of the story. And so people don't, there's a fundamental inability to blame Hamas. People will say, I condemn Hamas, but they never blame them because there's this view that the party with less power has zero moral responsibilities. And thus all the moral responsibility is on Israel. And I think we need to reject that kind of thinking.
That's actually a very dangerous sentiment because it essentially says that you go against, to those much is given, much is required. Because you can apply that to bottom up economics. You can apply that to just essentially anyone that has power. They are equal to those that do not have power. And we should hold people that don't have any power to the same standard as their oppressors.
Because Hamas is to blame for this. And I say that despite having things that we all agree Israel could have done much better and much differently.
Peter, I'm going to go to Peter and then we'll take a break. Peter, go ahead.
100% responsible for the horrific conditions they're holding Eviatar David in and for the people they killed on October 7th and for everyone they kidnapped. Absolutely. But Hamas is not responsible for the fact that Israel cut off all food, water, and fuel to Gaza for almost 3 months this year. Israel has to take responsibility for its war crimes, just as Hamas has to take responsibility for its.
I don't think they should have done that, but when they did do that, there was a store of 4 to 6 months worth of aid.
Well, evidently
Do you see that? He gave an perfect example of a war crime that Israel has committed, even with conceding everything that they always say about Hamas, October 7. They are responsible for obviously taking the hostages and starving the hostages in the conditions that they're in. He conceded all of that. And the moment that he gives a true criticism about a war crime that Hamas has created, she says, well, I do think they shouldn't have done that. But let's not forget this. Oh my God.
Not. Evidently not.
It was poorly handled. I
Evidently
totally
not.
think it was poorly handled, but they believed that there was enough food there. The distribution broke down.
I think the
horrifically.
Do you think Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir, who are both key positions in this government, really cared that much whether there was enough food? They're important people in this. They matter a lot. I don't.
Top Israeli government officials do not matter to her as she defends the Israeli government. I want to say this again, and this is kind of like to all politicians and commentators, especially on the left. And no shade to the MAGA folks and to the folks on the right. There's a certain level of cognitive dissonance that you guys have that you are able to compartmentalize horrible things, and yeah, y'all just able to do that. And so I'm really big on critiquing people that I came to the dance with, and that's the Democrats and the people on the left, or at least people that stay there on the left. I don't ever want to hear you talk about anything that Trump has done. I don't want to ever really truly hear you talk about anything that Trump has done to skirt the pillars of democracy, the Republicans taking away healthcare, when you're okay with what's happening in the Middle East. Those two things don't compute. I don't want to hear anything out of your mouth. You mean nothing. You're not consistent. You're a joke. And I hope that the Democratic base, please use your power in primaries to get anyone out that has voted for funds to Israel. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Peace.